Now we have with us Shitanshu Yash Chandra, the Indian poet writing in Gujarati. He is to speak a few words before you. Please, Shitanshu.
Well, all friends, including our Vice Chancellor, Vibhuti Narayan ji, Kailash ji, Rakesh ji, our one and only Rati ji, and Shabodh. Greetings and namaste to the poets and lovers of poetry who have come to this festival of poetry that Kritya has held. And from all of us who have gathered here, a warm and special thank you to a warm-hearted and special poet, Rati Saxena, who thought of the festival in its 4th edition now, 8th edition now, and turned the thought into action. Go into shaping such events. Either it is some kind of corporate considerations, economic and political, which shape some of these festivals of poetry, literature and culture. Or there is some passion, some personal engagement of an individual or a group of individuals left to their own inner resources, which shape a festivity. It is not that I have not been and seen some grand festivals of corporate considerations, but for all that glitter, one rarely finds a bit of gold, that precious metal of human authenticity, at such economically and politically dominated locations. On the other hand, the optional locations, the space formed by individual passions, perceptions and endeavors, like this one formed by Rati Saxena and her friends and co-authors, and by institutions like this university, are like islands of intimacy in a sea of manufactured relationships that surround us all. It is such a feeling of intimacy between a poet and her work, a reader and his text, a literary culture and the dynamics of its surroundings. That is the feel, and that is the feel of life itself. That intimacy is the feel of life itself. Poetry, sung, danced so well here, of the poet who is seated here. So poetry, sung and danced upon collectively, or hummed in one's isolation, either voluntary isolation or forced isolation, is not an external declaration of an opulent society or state. Poetry is the very lifeblood of a circulation in the body of a people, or of a praja, as we Indians say. This word praja derives from the verb root ja, that is to be born. The prefix pra indicates an intensity. Poetry enables a people, often subjugated into insensitivity and thoughtlessness, to once again regain consciousness, their own sensitivity for a larger world, both inside them and outside. That is praja. Poetry produces praja. That Kritya has organized this festival at Wardha has its historical context too. Wardha evokes memories of Segaon or Sevagram, the place of service, where Gandhi and his other Indian friends had dedicated their lives to the service of truth, love and freedom. Gandhi's truth is both universal and local, collective and personal. His insistence on that external yet context-sensitive truth enabled not only India but also England, not only the colonized but also the colonizer, to look critically into their lives, into structures of power that they had built or succumbed to, both political and economic as well as social, that governed their lives. Poetry is, in its own way, a satyagraha. It is, hence, local and global at the same time. The festival has brought us to such a location from many and varied places. We bring in a variety of literary cultures and languages. What does poetry do to these different vehicles or carriers of feelings, thoughts, concepts and actions? We read poems like those of Kalidasa and Kabir, or as we notice how a poem by a 15th century Gujarati poet, Narsih Mehta, was read and used by Gandhi in the 20th century. I refer to the pada, Vaishnava Janato Tenere Kahiye, a man of God is verily he who. As we read how Gandhi in the 20th century read a poem from 15th century, we come gradually to see how poetry is a place specific and place free at the same time. It helps us to transcend the anthropological distinction between languages as tribal speech or Boli, regional languages, global languages, national languages, and so on. A global language like English is given a local habitation all over the world by poetry. Only pseudo-poetry or glitter literature makes a language a commodity in an international marketplace. And I think it is this distinction that we have come here to understand and make. Poetry also empowers a dialect, a Boli, to become a vehicle of something which is true and intimate to all, anywhere, to anyone who might not be an anthropological part of a tribal location. Poetry, literature ensures that our mother tongues are not our prison houses. It also empowers us to be at home in any part of human habitat or any place where life has found a foothold in the expanse of the mere material. To conclude, let me go back to the Gujarati poet Narsiha, whom Gandhi of Wardha or Segaon so much liked. There is a poem by Narsiha in which he describes how he witnessed the divine dance of Krishna and Radha. He was, the poet tells us, once taken by Shiva, whom he adored, to Divya Vraja, the divine location, as a special favor to see Radha and Krishna dance. No mortal was usually allowed in. So Radha was a bit annoyed, but Krishna said that this mortal could be of some use, some help here. So let him be. Krishna came to Narsiha and gave him a torch and a can of oil and told him to light it so that the playground is clearly visible even as the night thickens. Narsiha did as he was told, but he was so lost in what he was witnessing that as the night thickened, the torch burnt on and he went on pouring oil till at one stage his right hand, in which he was holding the torch, began to glow, and he didn't even notice. Radha saw it from far and exclaimed to Krishna, "Your devotee is afire." Krishna smiled and told her, "If it doesn't bother him, why are you scared?" Radha then went up to Narsiyan and told him, "Now, young man, you go back to the human world and write poems of what you have seen here in your own light." So, the story tells us that's how Narsi became a poet. The light that comes to the poet to see whatever he sees, dance, divine or diabolical, should come from within the poet at whatever cost, through whatever pain it causes. For a poet, agony and ecstasy are one. So are all phenomena which are place-specific and place-free, local and global. This festival is about that oneness, as Rati Saxena has been telling us repeatedly through emails. I wish you all a good time.